first thing I want to do is go through roll call.
David Tamori,
Present.
Jennifer Beers,
Here.
Andy Krantz,
Here.
Tracy Johnstone,
Present.
Misty Rayom.
Present.
And then I just wanted to note for the record, we did have Audrey Holt listed on this call to order. However, she is on the Parks Commission, not the Arts Commission. And then I just wanted to note that we had Janet Goodson listed on this agenda. She's the alternate. And we have Tracy here, who is the appointed representative.
Okay, going to stand for the flag salute. And Tracy, you want to lead us?
Absolutely. Your favorite. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, before I start, it's gratifying to see so many people in the audience. It's nice to have a group of people that we have showed an interest. So that means something's happening here in Oroville. Okay, so just communication of non-agenda items at this time. If there's anything not listed in the agenda, if you wish to address this, please follow the directions.
We have no submitted speaker cards.
Perfect. So first on our agenda our beautification. We have $40,000 that we have allocated for two separate locations, and I'm aware that there are three proposals. So we just want to put that out there, and let me see here.
So I can help you out a little bit, Chair
Great.
Tamori. So before we start in our presentations, I do want to address that we have our new Community Development Director in the room who will be taking over the Arts Commission. Not going anywhere, but he will be taking over in that seat. So this is what we have with us is Patrick Pyatt. I knew it and I wrote it down. Patrick Pyatt. So he is taking the role as our Community Development Director. We split the two positions. So we have we have our Public Works Director as well who entered the room. But he will be taking over on our Parks Commission. So just a friendly hello to Patrick whenever you guys see him. So we can move forward with our first agenda item, which is the Arts NOFA. So this commission, we put it out twice this time. The first time we put it out, we didn't receive any applications. We were really specific with the location that we were looking for. So we didn't receive any applications for that. So we put it out again with it being more broad. We released it, July 18th and closed on September 18th. And we just had a dollar amount of $40,000. We did receive, I put on this staff report, which we just passed one out to you guys. Sorry for the confusion today. Our agenda is a little jumbled. I put that we received 5 applications. It's technically 3 if you want to narrow it down to based on the type of artwork that have been submitted. All totaling over the amount, if we were to fund all of them, or totaling way over the amount that we released. But we wanted to keep them all in there so that you guys could see what your options are, because that's kind of what we had discussed. This commission wanted to see, just bring us your ideas, and we can discuss and go through and see what fits best for us. So we have, I believe, we'll have 2 presentations on these, and then we can discuss the third as a commission. So our first presentation, if there aren't any questions from the commission, will be from Fred Hansen and Frank Wilson, and they have proposed the City of Gold mural.
Very well. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and just want to point out that they've done some pretty fine work in the past. So looking forward to hearing your ideas.
David, Ted Hansen, and Ted's partner in painting. Nice to meet you. 3515 Myers Street. And we've noted that Oroville is a city of gold. Next slide, please. You're familiar, I'm sure, with many of the murals that we've done in the past. Oroville being the city of gold. It's known historically for that. But Ted and I would like to focus on some other riches that Oroville has, the beauty of the natural world. The natural resources here are just absolutely incredible. That mural that you're looking at, by the way, that's right here on Montgomery Street, at 2167 Montgomery Street. A lot of research goes into our murals. We've taken pride in the historical accuracy of the murals that we've done. Next slide, please. But now we want to focus on Oroville's natural beauty. Gosh, this town has got some amazing things. We're going to come out with we're proposing a series of 4 murals, each highlighting a different aspect of the natural beauty found here in Oroville. There may be room for more with this, with the public utilities district. They have many buildings, and they're talking about having more murals featuring the natural beauty. There's so much. I mean, 4 murals doesn't even begin to cover it. Next. So we've painted outdoor murals. This one is on the Stream School. A lot of gold. This is the city of gold, a lot of history. We've covered everything from simple mining. By the way, that's a portrait of my painting partner, Ted.
Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome. With a simple pan. Next, to sluice boxes. There's 3 miners there using a sluice box, which is very popular. And next, to the gigantic dredges. There were 38 of them at one time operating here. We painted that. That's on the Stream School right here in Oroville. But we want to focus our attention now to the natural beauty. So, Feather Falls. It's closed right now because of the damage from the fire. But it's known for its hiking trails, horseback, Lake Oroville, the mountains, all kinds of unusual geologic wonders here. Table Mountain, with its annual bloom of spring flowers, attracts hundreds of thousands of people. Have you tried going there lately and finding a parking space?
That's the next slide.
Yeah. So next. So Bald Rock. Hikers, photographers, naturalists from all over the world go to this most unusual geologic formation. Being from New England, there's a place like this in New England. It's the only other one that I know of where you've got this dome of granite. This is unique to Oroville with the glacial erratics. Next. And of course, Lake Oroville. Oh my gosh, Lake Oroville's got so much beauty. Hiking trails, boating, houseboating, horseback riding. There's so much that Lake Oroville has to offer. Next, these are the places that we want to capture. The annual spring bloom of wildflowers up on Table Mountain. I have done literally hundreds of paintings of Table Mountain, from the waterfalls to what you're looking at there. That's one of my paintings that Ted incidentally sold in his gallery, the brushstrokes. It's a gouache painting, opaque watercolor. So next, this is the building. We've already gotten permission from the owner. The murals that we're proposing will be done on 4 by 8 foot exterior plywood that'll be primed to withstand the elements, have a wooden frame painted around the outside. And as you see to the right of the doorway, there's a legend that we're getting noted for. So many of our murals have legends, both public and private, that we've done. That'll be mounted. Next, please. So there's 4 sketches that you're going to see. And the sketches are they're just rough sketches, but it's to give an idea of what we propose painting. The finished murals will have a much higher degree of realism than what you're about to see. So next one, please. Feather Falls. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. I can't wait for the trails to open again so I can go up there, do some photography, get more reference for painting. But this particular scene fits that 4 by 8 foot panel really nicely. Next. Bald Rock. Everyone recognized this iconic scene from Bald Rock with those big glacial erratics up there. Notice the wooden frame? Ted's specialty is painting wooden frames around our murals. Next. Lake Oroville, there's going to be a houseboat in the mural if our proposal is accepted. The beautiful hiking trail. I don't know, we might even add a figure or two in there, Ted. Hiking figure, backpacks. You don't like that idea? Are you afraid I'm going to do your portrait again?
Another portrait. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Next. And
okay.
of course, Table Mountain.
Yes.
That's going to be a popular one. So these 4 murals will be on that PUD building. And the director said that he has many more buildings. He would consider even more scenes.
Thanks, Dave.
Next slide.
With Dave. Dave is here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the legend looks like. It tells the history and everything about the paintings, so people can come up and read it, and just know that it's more than a picture. And then on the side note, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons that we took an interest in this is because I have spent over 20 years working South Side. And I think it's really important that we do something super positive and throw some images there to give it a better light. And from teaching the kids to doing, putting in the garden that I've done, teaching at Wyandotte, and then getting to teach the kids art at Central for 19 years. That's just a side note. I just wanted to let you know that there's personal reason that I'm going with the South Side one this time. Any questions?
Next one.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So we're really looking forward to doing these 4 landscape murals on the Public Utilities building. It's a change from our focus on history to a focus on the natural beauty that Oroville has to offer. Next. So we just want to say thank you for considering our mural proposal, and remember that Oroville adds much more to the old saying, there's gold in them thar hills.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. I'm not familiar with the building. Can you tell me where it is?
El Medeo Fire Department.
Oh, that's what I was thinking?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where it is. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Move on to our next presentation if the commission is ready for that or if they have any questions. But our next presentation will be from Dean Gurr with the Oroville Lights Project.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commission. Thank you for allowing me to present. On behalf of the Oroville Lights Project and the Rotary Club of Oroville, which is the spearhead of this community project. And I just want to introduce a few of my Rotarians that I have with me today. I have Tammy and Brian Flicker, Amy Jernigan, and our president, Tao Elson, with us tonight. So we just want to thank you for this opportunity, not only to present to, but to apply for some funds from this NOFA. Many of you are probably familiar already with the Oroville Lights Project. Hopefully we've gained some pretty good traction. It seems to be a very positive and well-received project in the minds of our community. We've got a lot of positive support, and we've made some great strides in funding this process. The images you see now, it was one of our original renderings and our vision for what this project could look like. If you would do the next slide. So it began with a simple idea and a simple goal. It was twofold. An idea percolated probably originally around 2018 or so about how this iconic piece of architecture in our community has such a rich history and is relatively unappreciated at this point in time. And it was a simple thought: what would it look like to have lights on that bridge that would twinkle at night? Wouldn't that be cool? And there's a lot of people said, yeah, that is pretty cool. When I started sharing this idea, I found out that, so I was certainly not the only one to have this idea. If you can hit the next slide, please. So to come to find out, much like the art installations that our fine artists here were alluding to, having roots in the history, illustrating our history, this automatically became not only a modern installation, a modern permanent installation, but it became a historical installation at the same time. It was the centerpiece of the water carnival that took place in the early 1900s. It was a 4-year run for that particular carnival. And for its time was quite progressive and quite beautiful. So, next slide, please. This is what we envisioned using individual LED nodes on the bridge in homage to the original installation of the water carnival. And if you'll go one more slide, if you will, please. This is our current rendering of the project. What I like about where we're going with this LED installation is, number one, it's a permanent installation. It's a controllable installation. So the colors you see represented there are just one color scheme of an unimaginable amount of color schemes that we can light the bridge. That's the beauty of the modern light technology. You can even get bulbs at Home Depot now. You can put in any color of the rainbow. But these are specific to the installation. And what I love about the location of this, not only is it highlighting one of our most iconic, or probably the most iconic bridge in our community, but it highlights the Feather River, the downtown, the connections between our communities. And it's really kind of an extension of art that is going to line that entire byway. So you come down with the new wall that's receiving the mosaics. I can just imagine walking down that hill, enjoying all the individual mosaics, and as the sun sets, come across the bridge and view the beautiful lights from downtown. So this in and of itself is an art installation. But we would like to take that one step further and be able to create light shows on the bridge. So instead of just having lights that we can set to any certain color, we can make it dance. We can make it sing with simultaneous broadcasts from radio stations and so forth. So there's a lot we can do with that. And this request has to do with the specific equipment that makes that happen. So if you will, I'd like to first share with you a very brief video that shows an expanded look at the vision of both of all the phases, phase 1, 2, 3 of the installation, and what that might look like. Now you have to hit it one more time. There you go. By that example of the full spectrum of colors that's possible on that bridge, we can make it into any color and any theme that we want. And what the next thing I'd like you to illustrate is what can be done with specific controllers to turn this into a performance, a light performance on the bridge. If you would bring the next slide up, please. One more. That excites me. I mean, it just not only can we just bring light to our community, but we can bring excitement and vitality and energy, and this will be, to my knowledge, the only bridge in Butte County that will be lit in this fashion. The potential to put ourselves on the map as far as an attraction like this is just inspiring to me, and I think, a gift to our community. And being a community project, and like I say, spearheaded by Rotary, this is something that is much larger than what just Rotary can do individually, okay? So that's why we've been continually reaching out to our community for support, for dedications, for donations, and for grants to make this come together. The specific ask of your commission tonight is for a very specific part of the installation. If you would please go to the next slide. We'll get into the nuts and bolts for a moment. The hardware alone, and this doesn't include any of the infrastructure like conduit, wiring, electrical boxes, service meters, and so forth, but our hardware, purchase of lights and the associated hardware alone is in just under $200,000, a little over $180,000 for that. Next slide, please. I'm going to highlight this center portion here. These are the hardware components that are necessary to turn it into a performance, into a light show, to give us the different colors that we see on the bridge. This is critical for that functionality of the project. It includes the biggest part of that. There are some supporting materials as well. The biggest part of that is the Mosaic Show controller. That is all spec'd out to not only supply the infrastructure we need for phase one, which is the west side of the bridge, but it's expandable for our phase 2 and 3 as well. So it encompasses the entire project. The only thing that doesn't cover this, but there's other things associated with installation and supporting hardware, and boxes in which to house it are not a part of this ask. It's just for the hardware alone. Next slide, please. So that's the ask of $30,224.85. It represents about 6% of our current budget. That's what you're looking at. It's not really, the lights are the sexy part of the project. This is not so much. This is very utilitarian, but it is absolutely necessary for what we intend to do on the bridge. So there's controllers and switches, the whole bit that makes it happen. Next slide, please. Just so you know where we're at, we've gained some very, very good traction on our progress. So our phase 1 goal is $500,000, which includes infrastructure for phase 2 and 3. We've had some very generous donations from some of our business leaders and the SBF fund thus far. And once we get that installed, we intend to break ground in second quarter next year. And your support of this project would really give us a big boost towards our goal and making the bridge come to light. So thank you all for your time, your consideration. One more slide I think we have. Maybe. Oh, there it is. There's your ending slide. Okay. We would love you to help us light it up. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer whatever you might have.
Okay, Commissioner Halen. Is it Halen? Halen? You have the floor.
Well, I'm not shared, so I'm number
Those
two.
are the wrong names.
Oh, sorry. That would be. Well, just go ahead.
Okay. I just have a couple quick questions, just kind of maintenance types. Who would be maintaining these lights?
The Rotary Club of Oroville would be responsible for the installation. Until such time, our goal is much like what transpired with the State Theater. It started out as a small group dedicated to its success, and it became its own 501c3. We anticipate that will happen over time because there will be ongoing maintenance and promotion of the project itself. So we intend to we kind of see that developing over time.
Okay. And so notification on bulbs, what I don't want to see happen is that, the presentation was amazing. I love it. It's beautiful. I love that you can change the lights for the different things. My concern is bulbs going out. You said they're LED bulbs, so what's their life expectancy?
They are LED bulbs, and any bulb is hard to, even LED. They can put a stamp in the box about how long it will last, and rarely does it ever.
Sure.
The anticipated lifespan of this project is 10 years. It may last longer than that. Things will go out in time. Part of the total cost of that equipment includes what we call attic stock. So that we would buy additional lighting equipment, cables, and so forth, so that when we have things go out, we have those on hand. And we have it built into our vision for this, that we will have community can sponsor light shows on the bridge as time goes on. So that'll help with ongoing maintenance and replacement of bulbs or any of the infrastructure we need to replace.
Okay. And so you guys will be monitoring the bridge to make sure that when bulbs need to be replaced, those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's part of the software too. So part of the software will actually monitor the bulbs and let us know when something's out. So
great.
And of course, the community will let us know as well.
I'm sure we will.
I just want to add, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, but part of the technology, the reason we went with this type of lighting structure was that if a light goes out, we only have to replace that light. So it's all.
It won't take the whole thing out. That's good.
That's a good point. We have researched a lot of different products for this bridge, and we settled on this one. It's this particular LED node comes from a company called Karl Stoll. They're manufactured in Germany. And the couple great things about it is exactly as Brian pointed out, each node is field replaceable. Other products we looked at, we would have to replace an entire strand. And those would run anywhere from 25 to 30 feet. So that's a logistical problem. Also, they are magnetically attached to the bridge.
Okay. So wind and those kinds of things won't necessarily be a
they,
factor.
they are very strong magnets, and the actual footprint of the LED is relatively small.
Okay. And it's going to be lit up on both sides? You have
Phase
those
one
different
includes
phases,
west
right?
side, correct.
Okay.
So the west side installation is first.
Okay.
Phase two would be the east side. And then we would like to extend that to some lighting over the pedestrian path, not only to bring the experience to the pedestrians and those across the bridge, but also bring safety to our community.
Well, and that brings me to another thing, safety with the traffic. So do you anticipate the light shows going on during, are these just going to be like specific events that are happening? Or, I know me, I'd be, driving down the road, oh, look at the lights,
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure there's a safety factor.
There's a couple of, and we have had a lot to consider through our process, our discovery process, and that's one of them, of course. Yes, we will do regular light shows. We anticipate, especially on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, to have a nightly light show, and that will be primarily on the west side. The east side, where there's traffic that passes, directly adjacent to the bridge, we will have the ability to I mean, we would have the ability to do that, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to have anything on the east side of the bridge that would cause distraction to drivers. So we would either make that static lighting, or we would do lights that change in a slow undulation. So much like we have LED billboards that change every so many seconds on our roadways, we would probably do a similar cadence with our light changes on that side of the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Beers, you're one, right? So that must be. I'm going to go by numbers.
The names are all wrong on there.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have a couple questions. My first question is, have you guys anticipated the cost for having the lights on, and who would be responsible for the cost?
Yes, our organization, Rotary Club, would be
To have them on?
to responsible for the cost, all the costs associated with the bridge.
To have the
To keep it
lights
on,
the
yes,
PG&E
exactly,
okay.
exactly. So the two installations that I highlighted there, those are our kind of our inspiration for this project. And matter of fact, the Hone Bridge from Milwaukee, they are actually our consultants on this project. They have an arrangement with the state. The state actually controls their bridge. That the state pays for $250 of electrical usage per month. They have yet to top that out. So we don't anticipate this being, a large, expensive
Tax
process.
hike
Exactly. I
for
think,
the city.
Amy, I think your husband, who's in solar, said that the energy usage proposed on that bridge is very, very low, 3.9 kilowatts or something like that.
About running an air conditioner.
Oh, cool.
So
Wow.
The other question I had is if you had any homeowners or people that live in that area concerned about the light pollution.
we have talked to Bossberger, the owner of Bossberger, the owner of the Crag Apartments. We have talked to homeowners across the bridge at the. You go up and turn right, and there's that whole neighborhood up in there. And when we had our kickoff April last year, they were present on the bridge. Not only were very excited about the project, but also donated the project as well.
Cool.
So we have very good support from neighbors.
Good to know. Thank you.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
If I could have one more thing to, too, and again, Dean, correct me if I'm wrong. The ongoing cost of the project, we're gonna charge for light shows that individuals want to sponsor. Like, one of the ones that really sold me on this was a gender reveal, where the pink and blue lights were chasing each other back and forth, and you would pay to have that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Event show on there, and that money would go towards the ongoing costs of the
Got
project.
it. Great. Thank you so much.
Fun. We know you would do that.
And I've always said from day one, this would be so fun on future Bell games. Half purple, half red. The winner gets a light show with their colors.
Yeah.
I think that would be just a great thing for our community.
Okay, Commissioner Reum.
Hi.
Oh, I was just excited because when I think of a bridge, you think about how people want to hang things. So that would be a neat way to be able to like rent a day or a light or something. And then I saw that you said sponsor. So do people like donate money to like buy a light for someone?
Thank
kinda
you
like
for
the stars?
asking
I don't
that.
know.
Yes, no, part of the way we're funding this, and it's not the major part of our funding. Our major part is coming from grants and large donations from community and business. But we have dedications. Every bulb, every LED node that you see up there has the ability to be purchased and dedicated to someone. So if there's someone special in your life, someone you've loved or lost, you can buy them a bulb starting at $100 and up, and that gets you a bulb. And we're going to have an accompanying website. That's part of our $500,000 budget, is a really robust website where those dedications will live. You can visit them and click on a dedication and see where your light is located on the bridge. So it really helps build in some usability, so that it's not just something pretty to look at. It's also an interface you can go and to find your dedications. And if there are sponsors that choose to light up the bridge on a particular night for a particular cause in a particular color scheme, we can promote that on the website and bring awareness to a particular cause, a particular organization, or a particular individual in our community, and have it illustrated on our website as well.
Okay. So if someone just wanted to say happy birthday or play a song for them or something like that.
Absolutely.
Fun.
Absolutely.
So when you said that the lights are magnetic, so each individual one is magnetic, and could someone just take that?
Yes,
walk
and that's
off
why,
with-
and I don't know if can we go back to that? If you can
sorry.
find, okay, I'd appreciate that. If you can go back to the one that has the red, white, and blue, just the very last slide will be a great illustration. We are taking that into consideration because the west side is, that's where the pedestrian path is. You've got the interior path, but you've got on the outside of the bridge, you have the walkway. So if you take a look at that illustration there, you can see how the nodes only come down so far when it comes to the nodes, and that is about 10 feet off the ground. So we're taking the possibility of vandalism very seriously. We want to protect our investment, and we want to protect the look of the bridge. So that's why the lights only come down so far. Those will be accented by another floodlight that will go on the interior bottom of each one of those rises, so that the light will shine up inside the girders, inside the steel beams, and then emanate outwards. So it helps that continuity of light.
That's
Okay.
all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Krantz?
So you said the lifespan is 10 years for these particular lights.
Anticipated, yes.
Then what happens at year 11?
Year 11? Well, hopefully it's still going by year 11.
Okay.
But if this will be one thing, for instance, the Bay Bridge. The Bay Bridge was at the time that they installed lights on that was billed as the largest art installation in the world. So they topped out where maintenance was starting to become more expensive than it was. They were chasing their tail, really, with that. So, but what's interesting about the Bay Bridge is it started out as a simple student artwork project that they were able to get funding for. It was not ever meant to be a permanent installation. So they raised funds in the community to put in the permanent installation. So, and they're doing that again. So they're continually raise funds. So, what I anticipate doing in this project is to have it being a self-funding entity that the light shows and the other sponsoring opportunities we'll have on the bridge will allow us to be able to, as things need to be replaced, as we need a new controller, as we need new LEDs, that it will fund that going forward. And there may be the possibility of a future fundraising for that effort as well.
Okay, so I'm up. How soon do you need the funding to purchase the equipment? Like, do you need it now, or can you is it essential?
Well, our ongoing and our funding we've raised enough at this point in time where we could cover the cost of purchasing that. But, there's a lot of other things that go with it too. So it's not, we don't need it this month. We don't need it next month. We intend to break ground, if you will, on the project April or sometime in the second quarter, 2024. So sometime in that period would be great. We'll probably start to make purchases in quarter one, however. So that's where it would be really come in handy.
And then anticipated completion is a couple of years, or?
No, we should have it done within calendar year 2024.
Oh, okay. Are you going to do lighting for special occasions, like say Veterans Day or 4th of July? That would be no cost to the community.
No. That's one thing. When it comes to certain celebrations like that, that won't be any cost to the community to do it, to lighting. If someone says, "Hey, I want to do a particular light show on Veterans Day," and they want to sponsor that, that'd be fine. But we would do a lighting scheme much like what you see there, and probably do a complimentary light show on that as well.
Yeah. Well, see, what I was thinking when I asked the first question is, we have $40,000 for this round. And if you didn't need it really quickly, maybe we could divide it up into two funds. One, you got it, and next year we have more funds, we'll get the second part. There's a creative way to.
Yeah, we're certainly, and we've been able to entertain the generosity of some of our donors in that same fashion, where they have made not just a single year commitment, but a commitment over time to meet their goal as how they'd want to contribute. So that is certainly open to that as well. It's not an all or nothing by any means.
Right, but I just thought creatively to handle the funding. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask a real quick question on the vandalism. I'm concerned, are you going to have cameras or anything monitoring? I mean,
It's not part of our project, but I would like to have further discussions with the city of Oroville. Now, there's the complexity of that the bridge is a county-owned asset, okay, and they don't have funds or typical DOT funds to maintain the bridge like they would the adjacent bridge. And then we have city property on either end of that bridge. So we're going to have simultaneous discussions. We've already begun with the Butte County Public Works. They're very cooperative of this project. I'm going to meet with our new Public Works Director for the city tomorrow, and we're going to discuss the city's end of that. Okay, I went off on a tangent. What was the question? Sorry.
It's okay. I was just concerned about vandalism.
Oh,
and
vandalism. Yeah.
stealing
So
and-
exactly. So the cameras is my hope as we continue discussions with both city and county. I think it's to the betterment of not only the production of the installation, but of our community to have cameras somewhere there on that. So those are conversations I would look forward to having.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rayon?
You mentioned that it was a student project, so that made me wonder, is there a way to get students involved?
I'm so glad you asked. You've got such good questions.
Right.
Yes, so there is a programming element to this project. Then we would like to get our local STEM, science, and engineering minds involved in this as well. Again, I'm going to refer back to the Hone Bridge. They have really developed some great programs around their project. One is they have an intern competition every year on the bridge. It's called Code the Hone. And so that involves college-age interns that program different shows, and the winner gets to light it up. We envision doing the same thing here in maybe not so much a competition, but certainly giving our youth of any age the opportunity to go in, code the bridge, and present their own light shows. Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have any other? Okay, well, thank you.
Good.
That was
Okay.
very impressive. Did you put that together yourself?
Guilty. Thank you.
We do, yeah. We have our third presenter with us this evening. If he would like to come speak, we do have Steve Nielsen with us that submitted for the last 3 applications.
Welcome, Steve.
Well, I wanted to have like a rail presentation like they did, but technology wasn't working with me today. At the last minute, I actually printed out a few pictures of some things I've been working on the last couple of years. Just wanted to give you an example of, since 2013, I guess I should back up. My name's Steve Nilsson, born and raised here. Some of you know me. I finished that Eagle for the city, part of a SBF project back in 2013. After that, I actually sold my business where I used to build custom cars for 20 years, and I've been a full-time artist ever since. Everything I do is mostly commissioned to me by either private collectors or public artists or public art projects. The picture of my wife and I with the director there, that's a arch that was in Miami. We just completed the end of last year. That was a 2-year project. Did 5 sculptures for him. 3 of them, we got there at 10 o'clock at night, not knowing, they didn't tell us that there was a grand opening the next morning. They just said you have to be here no later than this day. So, and I was dealing with the architect about that. So we showed up at 10 o'clock at night, like, okay, we're here. And they're like, okay, now we got to install them. And they had a crew of construction people come in and had the city there and we stayed till 5 in the morning and we got that installed, and that was 2 hours after we completed it. But just thought you might think that was interesting. The picture of the lizard, that was a 6-foot anole lizard, special request by the architect that designed the park there. Those lizards are everywhere over there, and it was painted afterwards along with 5 butterflies with a 45 to 50-inch wingspans. So, and then the last picture is a picture of a 36-inch trout.
That one over there. We'll hold that one up.
Yeah, that was, like I said, last minute, printed it out. That's why I was a few minutes late running in here. That's a three-dimensional trout, a lot more realistic than, I believe that was 2012 when I did that, and that was the one that was stolen that they recovered. But there was overall 7 of them that went underneath the Montgomery Bridge. So that's how I evolved from that to the one on the photo. Like, I wanted to actually show you more, but that one ended up being painted and it looked very realistic as well. So the proposal that I gave, I've always, since you guys did the roundabout, coming down that hill, and then me being into wildlife and loving, like, grew up salmon fishing and all the other things and that we have around here. I always thought it would be great to do like a scene of, like, maybe, if not like realistic looking salmon, life size, 3-dimensional, like that would be what I would consider like maybe a wall hanger or a 2D, but 3-dimensional, almost like a cast sculpture, but it's all hand built from stainless, so there's like no maintenance to it once it's finished. I would suggest with if I were to be considered for this particular one, that would get me maybe 2 fish would probably, and that's actually, I kind of was given like a wholesale discount compared to what I would normally charge for doing something of that detail and that size. But that would be 2 of them to start, and what I pictured was like a larger, more of a long-term project, ongoing. Like if there was ever more funds that would want to be contributed toward that, keep adding more fish. Possibly the other option would be an eagle, and then later add the fish. And another idea I even thought of was like a grizzly bear or something down the road or something, but just to create a whole scene, because it's so large that for me to build something to complete and fill that space to where it would actually look proportionate would probably be like in the hundreds of thousands over time, if we were to keep it realistic. Sorry, I got dry throat, but that's kind of where I was at. Like, and then on the 2 different proposals for the eagle, one would be life size, like 6-foot wingspan, and the other one would maybe be like, if just thought the eagle a life size would be too small, we could blow it up to maybe up to 10 feet, 10-foot wingspan. So when you'd come down the hill, you'd see right up whole rising from the center of with the eagle kind of soaring. And again, that would be, my vision would be to continue to keep adding pieces to it to create a whole scene of like that would represent like our area and the wildlife area. It's like I've always loved what it looks like down there underneath that green bridge, and just between like the fish hatchery and then the Boss Burger. Like, it's just probably the most beautiful spots of Oroville, I think. And so I would love to build something that would actually represent that, like with the wildlife. But that's it. If you got any questions.
Are you asking a question? Okay. Commissioner Krantz?
So you mentioned before there was a vandalism issue.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found a way with more modern materials or design to possibly avoid that in the future?
Yeah, I'd have to go back to when we initially was asked to build these. Mm-hmm. Their idea, what they came to me was to just to build some kind of stakes that could be epoxied into the ground and lay them flat into I guess it's a slight angle, but you'd be looking at the bottom of the fish, not the side of it, like it is back there.
Right.
And so at the last minute, I met with somebody I think it might have been Bob, that was part of the SBF back then. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, you're right, they need to be upright. And they didn't have any funds for it, and they were just like, what can you do? And I said, well, I can cut those off and weld something going straight down. And that's basically what I ended up doing. And somebody went up there with a wireless grinder cutoff tool and just cut off the stakes. My idea that I've thought of multiple times, because I've given these similar proposals to like different cities and stuff for doing fish and things, would be to come up with like a 1/2-inch plate of some sort, or like for the length of the fish, like thick 1/2-inch stainless plate that would be like nearly impossible, and then have it come down and maybe like hide that with rock on both sides of it, or possibly use like some very, very thick stainless, because that's all I do mostly is all stainless steel. Those, if the eagles were considered, that's like the heads are stainless and the tail feathers and the feet are stainless, so those would never corrode. But the feathers themselves, I went ahead and left them mild steel so they would rust, and I'd probably force rust them and then coat them so they would stay with the same color in the patina. But is going back to the fish, being that I got 3 proposals there. The fish, I would do something that would make it literally somebody would have to be out there for a long time with the right tools to be able to cut through stainless. I do it all the time, and you could ask my neighbors. I'm out there, even with smaller stainless steel, it takes a lot longer to cut through. I believe those were just rebar that I used 1/2-inch rebar and we stuck them in the ground, maybe 3/4 inch back then. And it probably took them maybe 10 minutes in the middle of the night, throwing a lot of sparks, I imagine, to get up there and cut it off. I was shocked that somebody even did that. But
So if you went with the salmon, could it reduce cost at all to have, but also be, safe against vandalism? Could the salmon be lower to the ground, still safe against vandalism, but possibly smaller to reduce any of your cost?
Technically, I would usually get about 40 grand a piece for the realism of that trout right there. It takes me about 4 months working nonstop, 7 days a week to build one of that level.
Okay.
So I reduced my cost in order, just because I've been wanting to do something for the city again. Everything I've been doing the last 10 years has been other states, and other, even whether it be private or public. But I just been I've had this urge to want to just do something for the community again. And I thought if I reduced my price to meet your guys' budget, that maybe I could offer 2 of them at this point.
And since it's such a close proximity to the fish hatchery, could it be modified to sort of be curved or something so it looks like it's in motion?
Yeah, actually, that one, it might be hard to tell in the photo.
This one?
Well, yeah, but the photo that I actually printed right there, that I brought in tonight, that one has a little bit of a curve to it.
Oh, okay.
It does actually have an S-turn in it.
Oh, okay.
I would say maybe 5 months ago, I completed a barracuda it was about this big, and that one had a very wide S pattern in the shape of the fish. So yeah, I've acquired tools, a lot of tools, since I did that one. I'd say probably about $20,000 worth of metal shaping tools over the last 10 years that I just learned to master, and I keep learning every day. But that was one of my biggest things back then, that I didn't bring enough life to them, that I really wanted to add, make it look real, it was could have been in a real scene, in nature. So and I'm not stuck on any particular placement. That was just a photo I had, and I thought that would be a great, example in the proposal. But I'm open to modifying and changing where it could be in the, even the eagle itself. But I personally thought that I could get with maybe a landscaper or somebody that does rock work and everything, and play with the landscape that's within that, and then make the fish look like they're actually going up through the rock work. Maybe build it up and have it down a little bit lower, like you said. We could put in some pretty hefty cement footings and lock them down right on the ground. Maybe add some rock around it and mortar them to where it looks like it's swimming right along the rock, and they couldn't get underneath it to cut it. But I would still go overkill on the security part of it, because I wouldn't want that to happen again.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the vandalism before, that was when it was under the freeway?
It was under the freeway, and it was pitch black in there.
Yeah, there was no supervision there.
No.
We were at one point talking about chipping them to reduce the idea, but I personally think that if we have what we're doing here with other projects that we have, I just feel like I'm not going to worry about vandalism until it happens. It's not like some other things that you have to prepare for. I'm a little confused on your cost, because on our handout that we have, the Eagle is about $25,000, but So, and then on another sheet, I have your eagle is, well, one size would be 45,000, the other would be 85,000. So I'm wondering,
I included like all of my material costs, my raw material costs, like welding gas. It's pretty expensive now, and I go burn through a lot of it when I'm welding, TIG welding, stuff like that. Everything's TIG welded also. It's not wire welded, which is like a lot higher quality welds. But I included my cost of just like what my bills would be. I didn't know because I've never actually gotten one of these granted to me, so I didn't know what the rules were on that. But my wife's like, if you get this, like, are they going to pay you anything up front? And I said, well, I'll add in like enough for our cost of living to get us through the install. And if that's not the case, then I'd have to just make arrangements, figure out like maybe take out a loan to live off of while I built it. I wouldn't have any other costs because I'm a full-time artist.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have any other cash flow other than what I was working on. So that's what I included, my cost of living. And basically the only thing, the remaining amount after would just be whatever I made in the profit margin, like after the time and labor and my costs of my monthly bills and overhead and all that stuff.
okay. So now I'm understanding. So the ones that we have is just basic cost, and the other one is the paying you what you're worth.
What, you mean the two different priced ones?
Yeah.
No, one is life size, 6 foot wingspan, and the other one I put in there, it could be 8 to 10 feet, depending on what they thought was appropriate.
What he's saying is in the proposal
That's my confusion, so I just want to make
I'm
clear.
kind of confused now too.
information. So go on.
I just know I did two different Eagle proposals. One was larger and one was smaller, and there was two different price breakdowns. And just to be clear, that part of my cost I included was my monthly cost of, my cash flow that I would need just to
Right.
support myself while I was building it. So the bare minimum.
Commissioner Rayon?
Oh, so I saw the huge eagle and it's beautiful, but I like right away I just think about all the beautiful red-tailed hawks we have.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have so many. Would you ever consider doing like a red-tailed hawk or like
I'd be open
one of
to-
the falcons or something?
I'd be open to any. I grew up when I was younger as a preteen and probably early before high school. My dad and his friends used to all have their falconer's license. So I was around, like my dad had a red-tailed hawk. Actually, I've told him multiple times, like if I ever got a commission, I'd love to build one. But the only reason I picked the eagle is because I believe it's like, it used to be anyway on the city, like heading for like, cause though it's kind of like that's why they asked me to do that. I believe back in the day was because it was like the city bird or something. I don't know if it's official, but it used to be on all the headers, like when stuff would go out. Falcon would be cool. I knew friends. I've actually handled all those birds. Maybe not an eagle, but but yeah, red tail would be beautiful. And you could almost do it the exact same. The only thing different would, instead of having the head stainless, I'd just make it like all to where it could be patinaed the right colors.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate the question.
I think it's fair to visit the history of the eagle and just what it cost you to make and actually what the value might be, because it's all stainless steel. And
If I were to do that now or back then?
well, I mean, if you did it now,
If I did it now and I could,
what you know now. as
what
you
I,
did-
what I know now, I talked to a broker in New York that's like an artist that I've become pretty good friends with. We share work and we got, I follow her on Facebook and I've talked to her several times. She used to be a broker in her younger years and she retired and now she's just an artist, full-time artist herself. She reached out with that photos of that eagle when we first met, and she was like, why don't you just build these all the time? I said, because it takes I had over almost 2,500 or roughly right around 2,500 hours into it. Just to give you some history though, I agreed to do it for the $5,000 SBF grant. when I was asked to do it in 2008, I kind of put it off because I was already putting like 80 to 100 hours a week into my business building cars, like full-time employees, and just trying to keep that business going. So Frida Flynn at the time was coming to me and she's like, will you consider doing like just, and I think she was kind of in her mind pictured like more of a yard art, you know, like rustic, kind of just make it resemble these objects. And she wanted two. She wanted an eagle and a blue heron and something to put along the river. And my response was like, you know, I've already kind of been looking at building stuff higher end, like all the vehicles I did was like higher end. I had started doing some salmon at the time, one-sided, similar to that, and I really enjoyed working with stainless. So I convinced her after thinking on it for probably almost the better part of 2008, would you guys consider just letting me build something at a much more grand scale that would just blow people's minds? And originally this was supposed to go outside somewhere. We didn't know where, but it evolved as I evolved with learning how to work with stainless. Never polished anything stainless before. And so that was an entire learning curve. And I could say I told her that it might take 6 months part-time, working weekends and late nights, end up taking me almost 5 years, working every minute I could spare, and end up being about 2,500 hours donated for the project. I believe out of my pocket was about, back then, was $9,000, because I was actually hiring students to come in and help me polish, just because I didn't have enough time to do it all in a day. And so by the time I was done, I think I was out $9,000 and I got reimbursed $5,000 and 2,500 hours invested. But that, so.
I just wanted people to know.
The initial question, and going back to what she told me, she sent photos out to people on Wall Street that she still had contacts with that bought art from her. And these people all spent millions of dollars in art through her, where she was brokering art out of New York. I think she had about close to a dozen contacts she sent it to. The overall average was $250,000 to $500,000 is what they would pay if they were to be looking at spending money. And what she put down was, this is not for sale. This was already done. I'm trying to give this young artist some value, something to think about for future proposals. And we just want to know, as an up and coming artist with like this level of work, but not really being well known in the art world, as renowned wise as they would say, what would you put a value on? And I think there was about 3 or 4 that said 500,000.
Right.
And they were just guessing, and they had spent millions of dollars on art before for their, one person had just, I guess, it just sold like 55 million worth of his portfolio and was looking to invest it in other businesses. So he was like, I'm not open right now.
No, I mean, it's wonderful.
So basically
Priceless
they got it
in
for
my-
free, in other words,
Yeah.
other than, I just donated a year of my life is what it kind of came down to.
Right.
But
That's good for the public record.
it's no regret for me. It was all credibility, because I knew I was getting burnt out on working in the other industry I was in for 20 years, and I really just had this urge to just want to do art full time, regardless of what it was. And that was like, I felt like my foot in the door as my credibility. If I can give you one example, I had some designers that was designing a really very high-end restaurant in Boston inside of the Godfrey Hotel. And they were looking for a Peruvian kind of a Aztec gold mask that they only had little, pixelated photos off of Google. They were like, we found you, and we know that you could do a lot of different things. Would you be able to do this in an 8-foot wall sculpture by 6 foot tall of this, like, I guess it's considered like a sea god or a sun god or something? I was like, yeah, say yes and figure it out later is like always been my philosophy if I was like a little skeptical. And I said yes, and it took me about 7 months to build it. But before they could okay the funds, once I gave them a quote, they said, give me something I could take back to the board members in a sense of like, what your value is of what you've done. And I said, oh, well, here's a few pictures of this eagle. And I've done this multiple times. And he responded with, oh, then what we want is like literally nothing compared to that.
Right.
So that's my credibility, and that's why
No,
I
yeah.
was okay with doing that and putting all that time into it over those
Thank-
years.
Thanks. Commissioner Johnstone?
Just real quick. So the NOFA is for 40,000 and you're requesting 45, for the salmon, 45 for the sculpture, 85 for the 8-foot sculpture. So obviously we can't fund all of it.
I heard it was 45, and it was before I even looked at the packet, and so I had that in my mind, and I downloaded it, and I didn't capture that, and I believe I called down here the day before it was due and talked to Jordan and asked like some particular, and she was like, oh no, it's due today. And like I was going back through it, and she told me, she's like, and I got a couple of them for 45 and another one for over 80, and she's like, well, there might be some wiggle room, but it's supposed to be 40. I'm like, and I had no time. I had to run down there and give them. So I could scratch that off. And
Well, no,
put 40.
my question is it if, and Jordan, maybe you can answer, or Patrick, maybe you can answer, the NOFA's for 40, it doesn't have to go to all one project, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. In the past, this commission, it's completely up to this commission how the funding is spent. Originally, we put out for 40. As you can see on the staff report under fiscal impact, that does not, I'm going to use the word, but it does not drain the fund. There is a little remainder fund there. That's when I did say there is some wiggle room. I just wanted to encourage them to get the applications in. So
Sure.
I always submit them, even if it's over, so you guys can discuss. And then with that 1%, there's always projects going on as well. So we're intending more funding to come in. So that's why we always encourage people to still apply. But yes, the NOFA was released for 40,000 by your guys' direction.
Okay, so then my question would be is if we come together and we decide we want to split it up or something, are you still willing to build the sculptures not being fully funded by us, or?
You mean for like if it was only 40
If
rather than 45?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was like just I just heard that wrong, I guess.
Okay.
And I would adjust. I would still do the same level. I'm kind of known for like once I agree to do a project, I always go way overboard. Like if I find a way along the process, sometimes it will, like the Eagles, a good example. I'm not going to spend an extra year on it, but like I did on that one. But no, yeah, I'd be willing to do it for less. I'm already, like I said, that for that size at the detail that it would basically look like you took a real fish and cast it, but I'm hand shaping every inch of it and welding it and metal finishing it together. So that would be about, depending on the size, a $35,000 to $40,000 sculpture each. And I was willing to do them both for that, but a little bit less would be fine. I do have a question if I could ask. Because I've never actually been in this situation where it might have gotten approved. Would I have to get permits from the city, like, and all that? Is there any particulars that you could show? I mean, other people might want to know too. But like, if it's for the city and it's in that, say it was in that roundabout, would there be other expenses that I should know about?
Patrick or Jordan, maybe you guys can answer that.
Encroachment permit, right? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not in the position to answer that yet about the roundabout. I'd have to see the project.
I was just curious because I was kind of thinking, I'm like, shoot, there could end up being a couple $1,000s worth of fees or permits or something that I don't know about. And then I also planned on, if this got approved, I would be coming out of that cost also to I'd probably source it out to a contractor locally to put the footing in for me, this licensed contractor. So all I'd have to do is go in and install it once it's built. So I'd have somebody else actually put the cement footings in with the anchors to anchor them in.
So it's my desire to portion out and fund each art project because I like the vastness of everything that you guys are all suggesting that you would like to do for the city. So, I mean, that's me personally. I don't know what the council is going to recommend, but so I'm not sure, you being just private a private artist, you would need the full 40,000 in order to be able to produce even a single project, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to like amend that particular, the salmon one, for instance, I could actually go back to just one, and then we could add future pieces and make it a school down, as money was available in the future, like years later, I'd keep adding one or two every year or something until there was a whole school going all the way around, or whatever, the ideas, the committee would be interested in. But I'd be willing to do something like that too. I figured two, at least, like kind of a round number. One might look kind of odd at first, if we just only did one. Eagle, obviously, or a hawk or something like that would be cool, just because, you don't see two birds usually together. But fish, you always see more than one. But if it was like the start of something to come and you wanted to break it up, split it in half or something like that, I'd be willing to go that route too.
Okay, thank you.
Couple comments. One, what kind of funding is pending? It's hard to tell the future, but do we have any income coming in at all, project-wise?
We do, that I know of. I don't believe we've received the 1% in lieu fee, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, or either of you, from the new hotel we have coming in. And I believe there was one more, but not on top of my mind. So there's a few projects, and there's a few other in the works. When we receive that, I'm not sure what the timeline is of those. So to base any of our projects on those, yes, it's coming, but to say
it would be
when
a gamble to
it would be a gamble.
count on that, because they could change their mind and want to put their own art in as well.
Second thing, it seems to me that if you have the salmon in the roundabout, which personally I want to see something always wanted to see something in the roundabout. I think that would be too distracting, because you're going around the roundabout and you want to see the eagle, the salmon. But if you had an eagle up there, you could see it as you're coming in, and I think it would be less distracting personally, but I don't know what you guys think of that. I think what we need to do is figure out how to prioritize. And are there any things that commissioners you want to put forward? Personally, I like the idea of the last project that was presented. I want to fund all of them, but and maybe, but the roundabout I always thought was a good thing, and that whole corridor is going to be pretty spectacular. But that's just my opinion.
Chair Tamori, it seems to me like there's probably about to be a big discussion that's going to come up about funding, and the Parks Commission actually starts at 5:15.
Yes, so that's why I was
wondering if you would like to table this and do a special meeting on another day, or
I think that's best. We're going to run out of time.
I hate to leave it hanging, but we do have the Parks Commission coming up as well.
Commissioner, is that all right?
Yes.
So you'll inform us on the date, and then
I'll reach out to this committee with some potential dates, and we can discuss those, and then we can either invite all three back for questions, and we can discuss that as well.
Okay. Is that okay with the group? Then,
Absolutely.
Then we'll move on to the last order of business, which is Commission has information about the installation of the Feather River Health and Wellness Center to meet their 1% art requirement. So that's on Fifth Avenue, and they have done a lot of work on the site. I don't think we have any pictures to show anybody, but
there is, the last picture is there. I'll be very brief so we can get through this before. So our agenda is a little bit jumbled, but we're looking at the staff report that's on page 52, and page 54 does have their proposed art installation. A little bit of background, this is where the funding is meant to be used. So when projects come in and apply to come to the city to do projects, there's a 1% in lieu fee that they can either spend on their project for art, or they can pay to the city for this body to then spend when people apply for. So this project right here was a project that they chose to put their own 1% into an art project. So this is just an informational for you guys. It is at the Feather River Health and Wellness Center, which is on Fifth Avenue. So they spent well over the 1% that was required by the city to put in this art feature. It is complete. So what they have proposed here, we can go and view. So this was just an informational update for you guys. Moving forward with having new directors and staff, these will come to you guys for approval. This one slipped through the cracks, staff, and we encouraged them to go ahead with the project, and then we brought it to your guys' attention after.
Okay, so then
apologize
we
for that.
could take a vote on our next special meeting.
Yes, this is just informational, though. This project has been completed.
Right, okay.
Yes.
We don't have to vote on
No,
this one.
no, we just wanted to inform you guys that the 1% in lieu fee is working. They chose to use it for this project and to encourage you guys to go view it to see the beautiful art installation that they put in.
All right. Well, that being said, and the interest of time and efficiency, last comment is I'm just gratified to see so many talented people here at this meeting, and real fortunate to live in a country where at least we have this civil discussion and the peace to discuss improving the beauty of our city as opposed to some other realities that other people in the world are living under. So with that, I would like to call this meeting adjourned. All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.